Welcome, mortal souls, to Strange Darkness Radio. Within the echoes of our host's haunting voices, terror weaves through the airwaves like a malevolent symphony. I am Benson, your spectral guide, leading you into the uncharted realms of the macabre. Brace yourself for a descent into a paranormal abyss with the host of Strange Darkness Radio as they traverse through tales that linger in the shadows. Spectral apparitions, haunted domains, cryptids, and otherworldly encounters. Embrace the darkness, extinguish the lights, and steel your nerves for a bone-chilling night into the heart of the unknown. It's time for Strange Darkness Radio.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Welcome back to another episode of Strange Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Bobby Washington, along with Amy Tydeman and Vanessa Scaduto. How's it going, ladies?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you too.
Yes. Tonight is going to be very interesting. But before we get into that, how are you ladies doing? And anything new you would like to chat about?
Yeah, I don't have anything exciting to chat about, but I want to hear if Vanessa has any new developments this week and all of the strange occurrences that are going on.
A lot of strange things are happening. No, tonight, probably after I get off with you guys, I'll be posting those videos of the stuff of the orbs or whatever we want to call them. You know, I have my own beliefs in them, but nothing. I feel like I'm forgetting something, Amy. Like I feel like there probably is like something I probably don't even think about.
But one last question, Amy, any dresser drawer movement?
Oh, yes, dresser drawers.
No, not yet. I do have surveillance on it. So I'm waiting for the moment where I see the drawer in a disarray and I can go back and check that.
Nice. Awesome.
I'm excited for that, actually. I can't wait.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
All right. So, Amy, the floor is yours tonight.
All right. So tonight we're going to be discussing one of the most famous UFO encounters in history, the alleged Travis Walton abduction. So the story's pretty well known. Travis, he wrote a book about his alleged encounter, which is called The Walton Experience. And there's also a Hollywood film that is loosely based on his story called Fire in the Sky, which I watched back in 1993, I think is when it came out. So tonight I want to talk about Travis's claims, and then hopefully we can discuss whether we feel the whole thing is a hoax or not. So I'm just going to let Benson take it away right now so we can go ahead and get started.
Strange Darkness Radio descends into the Arizona night where shadows twist and the cosmos whispers secrets. On November 5th, 1975, 6 men witnessed a beam of light pierce the desert sky, snatching Travis Walton into the void, a disappearance that unraveled like a thread from a frayed reality. 5 days later, he emerged, fractured by visions of alien hands probing his flesh and metallic halls echoing with the hum of the unknown. Was this a cosmic collision or a desperate fabrication? Tonight, we unravel the threads of fire in the sky, where truth and terror blur like embers in the dark.
All right. So, as mentioned, Travis, he was missing for 5 days and 6 hours. So pretty much Travis, he was a 22-year-old logger and part of a 7-man crew. They were working on a federal tree thinning contract. And there's a lot of people who think the whole thing is a hoax. And, you know, we can get into that a little bit more in a little bit. But first, I just want to have play some audio of Travis describing the encounter in the woods first. So can we go ahead and play that audio?
You got it. Give me 1 second here.
We were working in the woods near Heber, Arizona, and had quit for the day, and we were driving down this logging road, and it was just starting to get dark. It wasn't quite dark, it was dusk, and one of the guys in the back says, "What's that?" And there was a light coming through the trees off to the right, up ahead. And when we got around this thicket of trees where we could see what it was this object hovering about 100 feet off the road. And, we stopped the truck and we sat there watching it. And I got out and I walked up close to get a close look. What happened? Well, I jumped down behind this log, and as I raised up to go, I just felt a numbing shock, and I blacked out. And my friends in the truck said they saw a beam come out of the craft and strike me in the head and the chest and knock me back through the air about 10 feet there. And they panicked and ran, It was 7 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, so first of all, can I just say I did not realize that was Geraldo.
You cut out there, Amy.
Oh, shoot.
There you go. You're back. I think you're back. You're frozen.
I think she was saying she didn't think it was Geraldo Rivera, or didn't realize it was Geraldo Rivera.
Actually, it's funny because Geraldo Rivera did a bunch of interviews with, Travis, and even the cast from the movie, went on the Geraldo Rivera show, and so that's extremely interesting. But
Yeah.
let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll get Amy back on and go from there. All right?
Sounds good.
Have you encountered the unexplainable? Strange Darkness Radio invites you to share your paranormal tales, ghostly whispers, UFO sightings, or cryptid encounters via SpeakPipe. No phone calls needed. Just click the link in our show notes, available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Record your story and we'll feature it on air. Your voice could be the next chilling highlight. SpeakPipe works on any device, delivering messages straight to our inbox. Don't let your eerie experience fade. Share it now and join the conversation where the unknown meets the airwaves.
That is bizarre that happened. Like, there's nothing wrong with my laptop. It just shut off all of a sudden.
That's actually, I love
Somebody doesn't want me to talk about the story.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that was Travis talking to Geraldo Rivera about what exactly happened on that road. And basically, afterwards, what happened was after about 15 minutes, the men decided to come back and they could not find Travis. And so they called the police. And during that time that Travis was missing, there were search parties, and the other men were actually questioned because they were suspected of murdering Travis because nobody believed their story. So that they actually polygraph tests conducted. And what's interesting is that 5 out of the 6 crew members passed, and one of them was inconclusive. So, I do want us to go more into that, but I also want to talk about what happened, according to Travis, of when he was abducted. So basically, according to him, he said he woke up in a very oddly shaped medical room. And what he saw was three humanoid looking beings, about 4 to 5 feet tall. They were pale, bald creatures. They had enlarged heads. So he said they had two large brown eyes. They were hairless, or I already said that. They had a nose, mouth, and they were actually wearing orange jumpsuits. And so he never saw them talking or changing expressions. And they were standing over him. And he said there was a device placed over his chest, holding him down on the table. So, but I guess he was able to get up and he grabbed an object to defend himself. And he actually fought with one. He hit one of them, and he claimed that the being was very light. So they actually left the room and he was left to wander around the craft. And then he said there were two human looking beings in blue jumpsuits, and they came and led him elsewhere. And so they placed like a clear mask like device over his face, and then he blacked out. So, kind of curious what you guys think about the fact that he said there were two human looking beings that
Yeah.
were there as well, and they were working with the aliens. What do you guys think about that?
I'll let you go, Vanessa, because you might go into the whole Palladian realm or
Well, here's the thing, guys.
working together creatures,
Here's the thing,
entities.
in my opinion, and obviously if you guys have to the listeners, our episode of Palladians has probably already dropped, so you probably heard this before this episode.
Yep.
So Palladians obviously look humanoid, right? But there's multiple aliens that look humanoid. So, because people don't think of this, but when universes are made, they believe it's a collection of DNA that is literally just thrown into the universe, slapped down into a planet, and somehow it somehow is able to evolve and create life on the planet. So what that means is uh, it's a random luck of the draw when we're throwing certain DNA. So why wouldn't there be other humanoid looking beings in the universe that look like us if the universe is just that compulsion of just throwing out different DNA into the world or whatever, into the universe. But I will say this, like I know that part of the story. Well, he said he hit them, like pushed them back, not like he like got scared, but he was so weak. I know he said he picked up a cylindrical glass-looking tube and he was going to try to break it. He said it wouldn't break. So that was in his first interview. Like he said it wouldn't break on him, but then he realized that they weren't coming after him. Like
Yeah.
so
He was the aggressor.
yeah, and I don't know if you got this part of it though, Amy, but he talked about leaving that room and going into a separate room where he realized there was one chair in the center, and that's when he realized he could see out, and all he could see was the space. He was in space, and he could see the stars, but he realized there was still a wall there. So it was like that Harry Potter cloak,
Yeah.
thing. Like, and that's when that humanoid being, what he thought was another human, came into the room, and that guy had a helmet on. So he thought the guy couldn't hear him because he kept talking to him like, "Hey, help me." He said the guy was friendly though, because he kept at least smiling at him, but he just led him around the room to another room with more humanoid looking beings as us. But he said none of them talked to him, but he said, "I don't know why I trusted them, but I did." So I laid down on the table and they put that mask, what he thought was oxygen, because he said his chest had been hurting. He couldn't breathe there. That was another thing. He was having trouble breathing. And until they brought him into because it was like a separate ship or something. So I don't know the way he talked about it. I don't know if you heard that part because I went to the first interview.
Yeah,
Like,
he was hurt from the blast
yeah.
to the chest. And they were, he believes that they were medically trying to help him, and that's why they brought him aboard the ship.
Didn't
Yeah.
he say that he thought he actually died upon impact? Did you hear about that?
I
Yeah.
think I think he said he wasn't sure because then when he woke up, then he thought he was in the hospital because of the pain that he felt from the impact of whatever happened. Because he said he just got struck back. So, but he said he felt better the moment they put the mask on, and then when he woke up, and that maybe that's where you want to lead. I don't want to take away the rest of the story. So, when he woke up, he said he, was on the road and he saw the ship
Oh.
just take off,
Yeah.
But but
Yeah.
I don't think that they were trying to harm him. I think they were probably just more curious as to the fact that he wasn't scared initially. Like the other guys said they wouldn't leave the truck, but for some reason he said, I don't know why I did it, but I went down and I
Right.
went to crouch down. I know why he did it. I mean, I would be curious too. Like, what is this thing? Especially the 70s, you're seeing this? I mean,
Yeah. I don't know that I'd be brave enough to go out by myself and check that out.
well,
Like,
he
I don't.
technically had
Well, I
other
mean, you
people
want to
with
talk to them. You're okay with them just popping up in front of you, talking about what up, doing the Mork before. Was that Mork?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
the Klingon thing or
Well,
whatever.
no, I was doing the Mork from Orc.
I was
But but yeah, no, I would be terrified. I would not. The thought, me, thinking about it, I would say yes, I would want to investigate and see what's going on. But you don't know what that all comes with. Is the thing.
Right. So, okay. So, as we mentioned, he was missing a little over 5 days. So now Travis said he didn't remember anything else until as Vanessa mentioned, he came to on the side of a road. And then he said he saw, the craft, which looked like a metallic mirror like flying saucer. It was departing above him. So when he reappeared, I believe it was just a few miles from where he had gone missing, and he was, 10 pounds lighter, and he had lots of beard growth for that amount of time. And so, but apparently during the time that he was missing, there were search parties, and one interesting thing that I heard was that his mother that when she was notified about his disappearance, she was kind of a little blasé about it. Like she said, well, that's the way these things happen.
Yeah,
I'm like, really? Okay, that's interesting.
we'll get into that.
Yeah, yeah. And then, she called off the search party for Travis, and she said she didn't believe he was on this earth anymore. But yeah, that'll lead us into other topics as well. But I thought that was pretty interesting. So, pretty much afterwards, his story was definitely met with skepticism, and his case became the subject of just an intense media attention. So, he sold his story to the National Enquirer. Inquirer. They published the story, and they gave the entire crew $5,000. And he actually went under hypnosis, and he himself took I don't know if it was multiple polygraph tests. I'm sure you guys maybe have more information on this, but I think
Yes, he
there
took
was one hired by a UFO group in the National Enquirer, and that person thought that Travis was being deceitful. They were saying they thought he was holding his breath as a tactic to pass the polygraph exam, which I didn't know that was a tactic actually. So I learned something new. But and I don't know, maybe he took other ones where I think he did pass the polygraph exam.
Well, the one from the police department is the one that he was deemed to be deceptive, and he was holding his breath. The one from the
Mm,
UFO organization, that's the one that that he said he passed, and obviously they wanted him to pass. It was,
yeah, yeah.
but I thought that he see, here's the thing. Here's my issue with this polygraph stuff. It's a stress test, really. People use it as a lie detector, but it's a stress test. And imagine if this did happen to you, to
Mhm,
relive something like this that is literally fantastical, even more so for the 70s, right? Like we just entered space in the early 60s. You know what I mean? That's only a decade of even understanding what's out there as far as
mhm,
humans being able to leave this atmosphere, right? So I would say that, and this is why they're not admissible in court. Everybody's going off of these polygraphs, but they don't really tell you, whether somebody's lying or not, because
mhm.
as even psychopaths can pass those tests because they don't have the same
Actually do
stressors.
really well at it.
Yes,
Yeah.
because they don't have the same stressors as a normal person with guilt, you know. So
Mhm.
I don't care really personally about these polygraphs, but the fact that all his team members who really, I mean, what, they only got 5 grand out of this whole deal anyways. Like it's not like
Yeah, he
they,
got 5 grand.
yeah, it's not
He
like they made.
himself, actually. I'm not sure what they got, but I know he did.
Oh, he did. Well, that's my whole point. And I know initially he didn't even want to go to the news with it because
70s though, it's probably like around 20, maybe even 25, as far as how far that will go.
yeah, but I mean, he could
Yeah.
have monopolized it more. I mean,
Oh no, he did.
eventually he
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
because everybody he was getting rid. I mean, I would have too if I'm getting ridicule either way. You know what? I still need to survive, right?
Yeah.
So like, and and honestly, but anyway, we'll
Yeah, we'll get
wait
into
for my
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that like leads us into the so yeah, I want to talk next about what do we believe about this story? Do we think he was actually abducted or is there another explanation for what happened? What do you guys think?
You go first,
who wants to
Bobby.
go first. You want me to go first? I've done too much.
Okay, I'll go first.
No, I'll go
Okay,
ahead and go first.
okay,
That was
okay,
more.
okay.
Here's the thing. I am a big fan of Travis, and I am a very big fan of the movie. I am a 70s baby, and I lived and breathed the story all throughout the whole time, watched the Geraldo interviews live at the time. Because again, I was young and I was, curious about, space, UFOs and aliens and all that stuff. So, the whole Ed and Lorraine story, and so was Travis Walton. Um, so, do I believe his story? I believe that he believes the story, but I do not think the story is real. I think it was concocted because of they couldn't finish what they were doing as loggers up there. They needed some, not to lose the contracts, and I believe they wouldn't get paid if they didn't finish in time. There was a whole process that they needed to do. That
Yeah.
time was running out, and also I don't think it was just that because there was a lot of things going on. There were situations with, I believe it was with Dwayne, um, him and Travis, where he was trying to have an interesting relationship or situation with his girlfriend, which again, I did pull some audio for this, and I'll let Travis kind of talk about it himself. I just think there are so many different outliers when it comes to this particular story that I deem interesting when it comes to belief. So I'm going to play that.
That very morning I'd had a fight with Alan.
Oh, it's with Alan.
He'd gone out to my girlfriend's house and told her, dump that guy, come with me. We got in a fight there in Mike's backyard, and he tried to do a spin kick on me and fell on his can. And Steve remembers that little set too there. So that's that scene in the movie where Alan cuts a tree that nearly hits me. That really happened.
Yeah, so there were situations and things that were going on, and so I'm gonna leave it there for now. I just believe that things took place, and they all ended up coming together and having a fantastical story. Vanessa, what do you believe?
I don't believe that. I actually do believe that something happened to him. What exactly, I'm not sure, in the sense like, but I do believe something happened to him. Life happens, in the sense of like, so what if he had some jealous guy? I don't know how that's related to an alien story or how that would affect the logging part of it.
That's only
Um,
just for the FYI. That's only 5% of the
yeah,
real
yeah.
scenario. It goes into what was found on site, what was at the location, what his
Right.
brother
I
told,
was
and
about to ask you about
like,
that. So I thought they found some radiation in that area with rings around as well.
Mhm.
Um, well, you're saying no, Bobby,
not
but I
not
mean,
not from any governmental office, study, or anything else was proven
Right, but they wouldn't go study it, right?
Well, no, I'm just saying, as far as, well, anybody, technically he could have gotten somebody to do it, somebody from the movie set, and what we know about type of radiation and all that stuff, it would be there to this day. As far as, because one, we know the exact location of where it occurred, but those types of elements stay in the soil.
Isotypes, yeah.
So the radiation, they've gone out there and tested it.
Well, they
recently?
can't. They can't because it's not, nobody's allowed out there. So I don't know how that
No,
could
I'm
be.
talking about, I'm talking about from the 75 and on. I'm talking about 85, 78.
Yeah, no, it would still be there, but nobody's allowed, Bobby.
Oh,
That's
but
what I'm saying. Nobody's allowed to go out there.
Why are they not allowed out there? Though?
It's the terrain. I just saw a video from January 11th. I could pull it up for you guys if you need me to, that a person actually went out. They even met Travis Walton. They even went to his home in Snowflake, Arizona, which I would never do. They knocked on his door unwittingly, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
He opened it for him. He actually talked to them.
Wow.
They just took the audio, though. They didn't videotape him because they knew what they were doing is kind of wrong. And they had him sign the laser disc Fire in the Sky. And Travis said they took a lot of liberty with that story. So not everything in that story is accurate in the movie. So, but he said the guy shows you, he goes out there to the, what was it called again? Oh my God. I know it starts with an S.
Yeah, but the only thing about, as you're looking that up, the only thing about that, I'm talking about whether it was scientists in the late 70s, in the early 80s. I don't know when this site.
Right. I'm just saying that more people were really against that, in the sense of like they weren't willing to believe in aliens. So I think.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But
so I think he had more pushback back then.
Yeah, but you did have the people that were actually studying this, and the organizations, because he went to a bunch of the UFO organizations, and that's what, so some of those people who were doing some of the research for him when it came to even the other polygraph and the other side of, governmental things. Because again, yes, we know the government was trying to shut down everything if that was really taking place, for sure.
And I don't remember the name of it. I think you just said it in the beginning, Amy, with the name of the place. Oh, Sickreaver National Forest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my understanding too is like they were contract workers. They weren't even like really full-time employees for that thing. It was just something he said they would pick up occasionally, like seasonally or something like that. But now I guess he used to do tours for people all up until the 90s. I think Travis Walton would take people out. But since then, they like shut down parts where he can't take them back to the site because there was still like the rings, I guess, like supposedly. I'm not saying it is, Bobby, but I'm saying supposedly.
I want to play something on that.
Okay, yeah, play, please, because I would love to hear more if there is more.
Let's see.
Those needles would have been blasted away. They would have caught fire. They would have burned.
Why are you laughing, Travis? Well, because this is typical of the sort of reasoning pattern this man uses in attacking all UFO cases. He's equating the absence of evidence.
This is Philip on CNN with Larry David.
That's absurd, and that's actually a logical fallacy.
It's necessary for people to know just exactly what Philip Klass really is, who he really is. He's nothing more than a disinformation specialist from Washington, D.C.
Okay, I want to play another clip. And again, this is...
Because I have an opinion.
No. This is good, because this is going to Vanessa's points, but,
He was knocked 10 feet back, and in his book he claims he hit his shoulder against the rock. When the morning after this incident allegedly occurred, when the law enforcement officers went to the site to inspect, they found all kinds of dry pine needles, which, if this had actually happened, those needles would have been blasted away, they would have caught fire, they would have burned.
Why are you laughing, Travis? Well, because this is typical of the sort of reasoning.
Okay, that's kind of like the same, because these clips are really small, so I had to, clip them up, which I don't normally do. I usually have it ready to play on my system.
Travis! You son of a bitch! What the hell you doing? Get back in the truck!
This is playing the video. This is the Geraldo interview.
You have to know me back then. What, a Hellraiser?
Well, I can explain what he did. About
What they're
We've
talking
done
about,
this
why
before,
would
and
Travis
this
jump out of the
happened.
vehicle?
Had another little experience. He jumped out of the truck to chase a bear that ran across the road. And
So he is wild.
What? I never heard of that.
I'm not like that anymore. It's just, you know, they're saying get back in the truck, and that was
Travis
just kind of
talking.
egging me on. I was scared too, but.
And then they show the, you know, from the scene from the movie, but yeah, there's a lot of things when it comes to what was stated as far as just his, whether it's his physical shape or whether it was. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just want to bring up this pine needle thing, you know, because
Well,
I
a
agree.
fire, any type of ring, but there's no rings. There wasn't rings.
But here's the thing: we're assuming it's a type of craft that uses nuclear technology, right? Like that would use it.
Oh
So,
yeah, we have no clue about that.
exactly. So the fact that this guy is doubling down on pine needles not being burned or anything being shown, that's my whole point. Aliens, we have no idea what kind of technology they're using, what types of aliens they are, because there's multiple, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion. So none of us can say whether it's true or not because we don't know what they could use.
Yes,
We're just
That's a good
basing it
point.
off of our real world
Exactly.
experience in this reality.
Yeah.
So I those arguments of like no pine needles and let me tell you something, I live in Florida. There's plenty of guys like Travis Walton, okay, that will go and grab alligators, go do something stupid. I've seen plenty of my friends yelling at them that they're going to break a leg or do something, and it tends to be more men than women who love to go and risk their lives. And honestly, he was a really young guy then too, you know.
Yeah, people definitely do crazy stuff, but I think I just think there's a lot more to it, and based upon the amount of people that were there on the scene, which was 7, well, total of 8, but even in the movie they removed the 1, and he talks about that. But I just think there was a scenario that something did take place, but it just wasn't supernatural, and you know,
Well,
I think a lot of elements that were there.
Did you guys hear about the lookout tower hypothesis?
Mm-mm.
So I'm not sure it was like a researcher that suggested this, but he believes like normally they would travel home on a particular road, but this person suggested that that night they actually went on another road which passes by a lookout tower, and it's called Gentry Tower, which is like a 70-foot tall Forest Service lookout tower. And so it has a spotlight on it. So this person is hypothesizing that Travis and Mike, the crew chief and brother-in-law, they set all of this up to play a hoax on the rest of the crew. And so they drove by this tower, and Travis walked towards the tower, which was, you know, brightly lit in the treetops. And then he thinks they had an accomplice illuminate him with that spotlight. So he's proposing that, you know, the crew, they actually believe the story because that's what they saw. But he believes that Mike and Travis created the entire thing as a hoax. So I thought that was interesting. And I don't know where he got that information. I should have looked more into it. But that's the first that I've heard about a lookout tower that could possibly be confused with a UFO.
Yeah. Do you think I'm not even sure if they knew the area. Would they have known about the lookout tower, or was it an area that they don't normally go to? And so that made it possible for the deception if that occurred.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just saying that when they later drove back to the supposed abduction site, they went to another spot entirely, like closer to their regular site that they were at. But I thought that was an interesting hypothesis. I mean, I personally
I think it's a little
don't
far
believe.
fetched. I mean,
What is
Yeah,
believe
I agree. But I mean, I
well, it's
personally. Oh, go ahead, Vanessa.
No. I was no. Go ahead. Go ahead. What you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that I don't necessarily know that I believe the story either. Just like Bobby said, if it wasn't for the fact that they were going to miss their deadline working on the tree trimming contract, and then they would have had to pay a hefty fee and they would have missed out on future bidding opportunities. And so part of their contract said that there had to be an act of God,
Yeah, that's the one.
yeah, that would
Yeah.
prevent them from finishing their work. So so that's kind of coincidental, that would be an act of God, right? I mean,
Yeah. It would be
be-
fantastical to where it would be something otherworldly to stop
yeah.
the process.
And
Yeah,
then
but here's the thing. That's hard to prove that he was abducted. Like, why wouldn't they pick something a little, like
They were not going to bring
But-
Jesus coming back
yeah, like
and
what act
No,
of
but
carrying
God
him
could
into
they
the
have?
air
I
to
think,
stop.
claimed?
well, they could. I think what they mean is like natural disasters. I mean, if
Yeah.
anything, they could have just started a fire.
No, that would have burned down the whole. Who would come on?
That's my
Vanessa?
whole
Who
point,
would
though.
Yeah,
If
they
you want to talk
would've-
about an act of,
Of course.
you want to
That
talk
would have
about
been
an act
awfully
of God.
risky.
No, that is some Florida man type stuff. But no,
But here's the thing. I will say this, Amy, too, in relation to the
sorry, Floridians.
no, that's okay. They're known for it. But
Sure.
it's also because we have people don't know sometimes because they don't live here. But anything is public access. So like if you get arrested, everybody has access to it. So other states, some of them are like that, but we're one of the ones where that's why you hear all these stories from us because you can get every police report, everything
Yeah.
once you're
Mhm.
anyway. But to your 70-foot tower thing, I mean, the way these guys talked about it though is that it was hovering on the ground. Like so
Hmm.
that to me already blows that
Well,
tower
I have
thing.
his audio I have audio.
Well,
Let's.
I listened to here's what I want to say though real quick, Bobby. I listened to his first interview ever because to me that tells me it's more fresh in his mind, right? Because of course things will change and also, in a traumatic thing maybe more things will come up. Also, who's to say he doesn't remember something? Especially since he was gone for 5 days, but he only remembers maybe an hour of the time being on the ship. You know what I mean? What else were they doing for those days? So
Disagree.
what was he doing for 5 days in the woods?
Oh, he was camping. He was camping, or he was
He was camping.
yeah, he was
He
camping.
was Bobby. They said
Because
he was malnourished, so he wasn't fed. Here's
yeah,
the thing: if
okay,
you're gonna do a
stop.
hoax,
Okay, wait, stop. That is in my wheelhouse. I fast for 7 to 10 days, and when I'm fasting, I'm not malnourished. So meaning I'm not eating for 7 to 5 days.
right? But you're drinking
So
water, right?
yeah, water is the key, which obviously he had water because water is the main thing you need. You can go a year actually without eating, which a person has done and lost up to 300 pounds, but that's neither here nor there. But my point is, if you're trying to fool someone with an act of God or something supernatural, you do go to the extreme without setting a forest ablaze. But you will make it look like, there was a situation period. And, even from, I'm surprised, again, I don't believe it. So I'm surprised he didn't have like, wounds on his face or marks on his arms and other things that they or him, did just to make it look really more believable. But as far as being malnourished is the smallest of small things.
Well, from my understanding, he did pass out. He was dehydrated. He
Yeah.
actually wasn't drinking anything. So I don't know that right there in itself. Also, he could have left some underwear on, right? But he showed up naked at the phone booth.
But
Also,
that's the fire of you talk about Florida man. But no one's going to. I'm going to do that if I feel that's my livelihood and my brother-in-law's livelihood. I'm going to do. I'm like yeah, and he's wild. He's wild for the night. So he is a person that will do wild things, And I just think that's possible from all the stories because, and again, I'm not a big abduction person to where I believe a lot of people have been abducted. I think it occurs sometimes, and the funny thing about abductions on my standpoint, I believe it's more the military. I believe it's our military doing research and study on people and utilizing technology that was garnered from alien crafts, and they're playing a game, you know.
Right. So that was my next thing to say,
Yeah.
though, Bobby. That's why I don't believe it didn't happen to him. I do believe it happened to him, but I do believe it was us. I just don't. The thing is, I do believe in time travel. I do believe in all this stuff. I think at some point, and it's, there's other people who believe like the Greys and stuff are just helpers of other aliens. They're not necessarily like as nefarious as people think, and I do think that's why the beings that he saw went and got the other humanoid ones, because they probably didn't understand what was really happening. They don't have the same emotions as us. And also they probably were like, well, this guy's given himself to us. So why are we going to go look for somebody? This guy's like curious. So maybe he'll be cool with us. And turns out not so cool once you're actually strapped down to a table.
Well, yeah, and that's totally understandable. I mean, if it happened the way he said, and to get hit
Right.
with a beam, then you're aboard something, you wake up. I can definitely see, and I got to fight for my life. Like, this is it, So I definitely see that.
Yeah, and I will say this, guys, that interview, that initial one, like you can hear his trepidation to talk about this, and you can hear his uh, anxiety kind of talking about it, like as if and this is just the first interview though, right? I'm sure after years of saying it, he gets more confident.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's way more
I've seen the
comfortable.
first interview, and it's funny that you say that because I had the total opposite.
Oh, you
Total
did?
opposite. Yo, total.
I didn't watch it. I listened. So maybe
Oh,
that
okay.
was different. I listened to it. So
Well,
I could
there's so many interviews, and a lot of there's a lot of interviews, and like VHS tapes. He does a lot of seminars, and even in the earlier days. But
I will say this though, one
yeah,
thing. I am surprised that, well, I don't know really. I never looked into this, but I would have thought if he had that experience, then maybe he'd be curious to want to know more about like what exactly it was, and maybe even like connect with like Dr. Greer, from MUFON or something like that. I don't know if he ever has,
well, yeah, he's done a lot of seminars with people that are in the industry at that time. So I'm pretty sure he probably ran into him. I want to say he
Okay.
did, because there was a lot of
'Cause
different well-known.
Yeah, because my thing is like, come to a CE5 event, dude. If you've already been taken up, maybe they'll come back for
He
you. Like,
lady that does the CE5s, and she passed away.
oh,
I
she
forget her
did.
name.
Her name was Carolyn, I think, too, or Caroline something.
No, it was with a D, I think.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Dolores.
Oh, Dolores Cannon.
Yes, Dolores
Dolores Cannon.
Cannon introduced him. She was, she did a whole thing, and he was at this seminar, and she introduced him and did his opening. He played the movie, clips from the movie. Then he played the Geraldo Rivera interviews, and then he was talking for a while. Um, it's just, I don't know. I think he believes it. And again, I don't know. If you tell a lie long enough, do you really start to believe it to where
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because that?
Well,
It can become pathological. It can.
did you guys hear about in 2021 how the crew chief, his brother-in-law, made a social media post renouncing
Yeah,
himself as a
yeah.
witness?
Yes, there were. Yeah, well, I believe it was two of the guys that came back and recanted what they were saying, but the true chief never admitted to like the tower or him actually being involved in something, opposed to that it just wasn't truthful.
Because here's what I saw, that so he was mad at Travis because they were remaking the film,
Yeah.
and he kept it a secret. Travis kept it a secret from him. And so he actually called the movie producer of the new film, who then secretly recorded the call. And in that call, Mike Rogers said, we were talking in the woods one day, and we were also talking about creating a UFO hoax. And this whole thing was deliberate. It was all staged. He ran up there, and then there was something about a UFO not being real, although it looked real. But and then later on, him and Travis Walton reconciled, and then that Mike Rogers, he then retracted his whole statement. So it's like things like that that kind of give me pause about the whole story. I don't know. And the fact that I think it was, they said the night that Mike Rogers acknowledged in writing that the job was behind scheduled and they weren't going to be able to, they may not be able to complete the job. They said the same, they watched that movie, The UFO Incident, about the abduction of Barney and Betty Hill, which is another famous case. So
Yeah,
it's,
he was really big into Barney and Betty Hill.
yeah. And then, 2 weeks later, that's when Travis is abducted. So I don't know. It's just very coincidental to me, all of these things.
I wonder, has he ever been regressed? I would love to hear that audio, if that's ever happened or if he's ever done that. Because I do believe that Betty and Barney Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that one too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know. I think something happened to him. What exactly that is, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But
Shrooms.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was the 70s. Who knows? It's like,
yeah, I
but
think
ran
one
off
of,
in the woods.
yeah, I'm kind of curious what he was doing for those 5 days, though. That's what I would like to know.
Oh, I do believe he was out in the woods for those 5 days.
But they were saying it was like freezing cold temperatures, so he wouldn't have, like, I don't know. I feel like somebody would have had to
they
like
were
shelter
used to
him.
camping and doing all that stuff, though, and I believe they had gear.
But
So-
didn't they go out and search? I mean, if they were searching out there, don't you think they would have found him then? I mean, like how
what
far?
location they were
Right.
good at
Like
what
how
they
far
do.
did he go, away
That's the
from that
question.
area?
Yeah.
I mean, because he only showed up only a mile from the county line, by the way. I mean, it was a mile and like, I think a mile off. That's what all he had to walk down to that payphone from. But it was on the highway that he said he was dropped off. And that was like 8 miles or 10 miles from, or something like that, from where he was logging or something like that. So it was within the vicinity he was dropped off, but like still, 8-10 miles is probably a 30-minute drive. You know what I mean? From where he's at, or maybe shorter, depending what their area looks like. I'm thinking of Jacksonville. It's like 30 minutes here to drive.
But one thing I didn't hear was any crafts being sighted or any type of things I can find with information about sightings around the time he was dropped off or, escaped or, however that is.
Yeah, I mean, but again, 70s, and like who knows how many people were paying attention to something like that. Now, we have things like the Enigma app that you can post all kinds of stuff that you find, and a lot of it is just garbage, right? But then you find those rare videos that you go, what? Wait, what's that? Like what?
Definitely true. But I the thing about, for me, the belief thing, I just didn't find anything extraordinary that would make me believe it, opposed to could it have been concocted. That's the only thing, as far as whether it was physical evidence on him or physical evidence in the area, based upon what they saw and what actually occurred and happened. I'm not sure about the whole lie detector thing, like you said, Vanessa. That's neither here nor there. A lot of people can pass that, and even if you truly believe what you're saying, you can pass that lie detector test.
Right.
So I'm not sure. It's just it's still an interesting and intriguing story.
Yes, it is for sure.
Some people believe and some people don't. So just
I would like to actually just go look at the area. Do you know what I mean? Like just walk through there. The fact that there were people who took tours, I don't understand why we haven't heard from these people either. Like what they saw on these tours, especially maybe in the 80s, you still would have been able to like go into that area and like explore. I don't know. I would have taken, when nobody's looking, like a soil sample with me or something.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Because you don't know, like that, like you were saying, the isotopes, like if it was nuclear powered, the craft, it should leave that for decades.
Yeah.
Maybe even a century, who knows, I don't, it all depends how strong it is. But again, we don't know if, this was that kind of craft or, and supposedly there's multiple types of crafts. So
Oh yeah, he
it's,
does talk about that also. All the
mm,
different types of crafts. He saw the pyramid. He saw the orbs. He saw the saucer that Bob Lazar talks about.
mhm.
He says
Even
this one was exactly like Bob Lazar's craft.
I just saw a video too today with Bob Lazar talking about how there are so many different types of crafts that utilize energy, the power they use. We have no idea because it goes against our understanding of physics. So even Bob says that um, there's just stuff out there we're not even aware of yet. So he doesn't throw anything out that is possible because because it's also the theory too, is like the fact that if our government knows about this, like we could have been energy efficient decades ago, since the
Yeah.
50s. You know what I mean? Like this whole trap behind fossil fuels and like all this stuff is like, oh man, we could have literally been powering a grid. Nobody in Texas would be without heat during the winter, things like that. Um,
Yeah, even the Tesla devices, the
right. They would
AC,
be
the
obsolete.
DC and all that. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
they would. So that tells you something, though. Maybe there's a reason why they hide things from us because, you know, this could be another conspiracy theory, though.
He
Basically,
would
is that,
be he would be the only one the government totally left alone to where
well,
it's like
did they leave
he's
him
just
alone, though? I
for
mean,
the
I don't
most the
know.
government never did anything. He has nothing other than the people that come out against him. He says they're, people from the government that are saying no, that didn't happen, or this is why, and so on and so forth. But I'm just talking about, whether, it's work, whether it's his life turning upside down, all the things, the men in black visiting him, just all the things that you hear when it comes to people who are in the know that have experiences with the government when it comes to things like this. Because I had a hard time of getting the face of the pillow guy out of my head, because that's what he looks like now. And his Joe Rogan interview looks like the guy who sells pillows.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And
funny.
and I
It's
love
a,
how the dye he uses dye 49 on everything.
it's so funny because like when I finally saw these interviews of Travis Walton when he was younger, I was like, he was a very handsome guy. What?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he can be all yours for
And
19.
yeah. Take me back to 1975 maybe, but I don't know about
How'd you
now.
like to hold her?
I think he's 81 now. I think he's like
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
81.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's or 71. I think he's 71 now. So he's an older dude. So, but maybe he'll come out and tell us it's a hoax. Who knows? Maybe before he
I
dies,
don't
he
think
has some
he will.
guilt.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He has made out quite well with
Oh
all
yeah,
of this happening.
especially with
So,
the
Well,
business that
he
he was in.
yeah, and here's the thing too, Bobby. You mentioned Dolores Cannon. She was also a medium.
Yeah.
So I feel like she would have already known if he was lying. Do you know what I mean? Like, because here's a tip, and this is for
Did
the
you
listener.
haven't asked her? You didn't get a chance to ask her before
Well, here's
she left.
let me try to channel Dolores now. I would never. I feel I would that to me sometimes is really wrong. So, but here's the thing, like this is a trick, okay? And it's like a mudra. So when you want to ask the universe if something is universally true,
Hmm.
right? You would put, and I'm going to step back from the mic for a second so you guys can see. You go like this. So you keep your arms up and you'll say something that is universally true. Everybody has a right to their freedom. So we all know that's true, right? And
Mhm.
when you say only I have a right to my freedom, you will feel the weight of your arms go down. That will let you know that is not a universal truth. So if I were to step back and I do, Travis Walton had an experience. That's universally true. He had an experience.
Yes,
Now, if I
exactly.
specify what kind of experience, we may be able to feel the weight of that
Okay, can we do
universally.
that? Can we try that?
Yeah, we can try it right now. Hold on. I'm going to try. Okay. I'll do a truth first. Okay. So I really enjoy doing the podcast with you guys. So that's a universal truth. Travis Walton had a extraterrestrial experience, and I didn't feel the weight. I didn't feel the weight. What
Hmm.
kind of experience? Who knows? That's another. That's the thing. But you guys can try this. The listeners can try it if you guys go to our YouTube instead of listening to this and go watch.
Yes,
You'll
definitely
see
watch
me
on
do
YouTube and
my
listen.
arm flapping. But
Ah.
it's just a trick to kind of like, and you do it casually. Don't like hold your arms up. Just like kind of like just air them out. Like it's just loose, kind of loose, and you can feel how it feels. It's like it's not even. It's so subtle, but it's there, and it's this weight that the energy tells you whether it's true or not. And so when we talk to people, we can also feel this in our chest sometimes.
Mhm.
It's like it's like because we're all interconnected. We know sometimes whether we realize it or not. Like when you ask somebody a question, let's say at work, right? You ask a
Yeah.
coworker something, there's a part of you that sometimes goes, I don't think they're telling me the whole story here,
Oh,
right?
that's
Oh, interesting. But would that go along the lines of like where you are not able to channel into them because you're kind of invading their personal space? Is that
Ri
kind of like the same thing?
Well, that's why, yeah, you can't do
I
that,
call it
right? But
intuition
there's
in the
right.
sense of if you can or if you're able to pick up on someone, it's just your intuition and intuitiveness that comes through when if somebody it's like an automatic
Yeah.
lie detector that you cannot shut off. You can say, well, yeah, I believe you, and you like, no, I know damn well he's lying or that's not
Yeah.
true, but I'm going to tell the person, oh yeah, okay, I understand, but I know that's not whatever the particular thing is,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
Like
don't want to probe because now
Yeah.
I'm using the abilities to say, okay, you're lying, like you straight up, so what is it, and then you're putting them in a situation like, to now that you're challenging the person, and then so the person's gonna get more entrenched, like, no, this is how I truly feel, whatever else, but you just had that feeling that and I hear
Yeah.
all the
and
time.
that yeah, exactly, Bobby. And that goes also to our auras and stuff. People don't realize we hold things outside of ourselves that is emotionally attached to us. And so like you can kind of tell sometimes when somebody's in a bad mood or you walk
Yeah.
into a room
That's
and you
true.
feel that energy of the
For
people,
sure.
whether they're up, down, whatever. And so like asking people questions, I will say this, like most people, if you pay attention, you'll feel it in either your chest or your gut whether there's something wrong there. There's something not even
Mm.
wrong. I don't want to use wrong, bad, good, whatever.
Yeah,
There's just
because
something
it's
off.
mhm.
Mhm.
And that is usually your intuition, like Bobby's saying, like our everybody has a psychic ability to read stuff, but because we're human, we put up walls and we are afraid of telling people the truth sometimes or being authentically ourselves. And a lot of times people can read that, you know?
Yeah. That
And
makes sense.
it's also based on the situation, right? If it's your best friend and you know something's up, you go, "Hey man, come on. Tell
Yeah,
me more."
Yeah.
But if it's a
yeah,
coworker,
Yeah.
you go, "Okay, well, maybe it's not my place, but I know
yeah,
this person,
I'm
they
gonna
tell me
leave it
all the truth,"
alone,
right?
keep moving, exactly.
So that's where, so like maybe this is what I think Dolores probably did with Travis, bringing it back to that, is that she probably intuitively believes this occurred.
Hmm.
How it occurred is something she would probably have to read into, right? Like she would have to
Mhm.
like get permission from him to do the medium work, right? Which is like tapping into his energy and actually maybe even pulling images or pulling that energy from him out of him to read it.
Yeah,
Or
and
even
this
his,
totally could have occurred, and he's telling the truth 100%. And again,
well,
because this is hard
his
to,
truth, right? His
yeah.
truth, right?
Yeah.
Right,
No, I mean exactly how it occurred.
right.
It could have totally happened. It's just sometimes hard for people to believe, and then you want to, have disbelief about a particular thing, and you know, and so yeah, so it's just hard in that regard. But yeah, he believes his experience.
Right. Yeah. And we're here at Strange Darkness Radio, not sure. I mean, you guys don't
Well, no, you're
it's
sure.
50 it's
I'm not
50-50.
sure.
It's
Amy, I think it's
50-50.
50-50. She's on the fence. She's leaning one way, but then
Yeah.
she's like, I don't
I'm
know.
like 70. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I need
70%.
to do more research because the fact that because I didn't know the medical stuff or I don't know too about the I want to know about the testing, like who did it, who's associated. Because that's true, Bobby. That I understand what you're saying about that, but I also think about the time period, and they were way more closed-minded than they are now.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, maybe we need to do another episode. Maybe
Revisit
with
this.
yeah, revisit it. Maybe we can do a collection of abduction stories
Hey,
after we.
I'll hit up Travis and see if he'll come on the show. Never
Dude,
know.
that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
I'd be like,
You'd probably
Mr.
have to pay
Walton.
him though, is what I think. Yeah.
There's nothing
I
wrong.
mean, like I said, he
We'll
was
give a
nice to
penny.
those. Yeah,
Sure.
he was nice to those guys who just knocked on his door because
Oh,
that
that's
was
true. Yeah,
that's
that
it.
is
I
true.
mean, I would never have the guts to
Yeah.
invade somebody's privacy like that.
Me neither.
Just not because they said they looked him up on the internet and found his address, and I was like, that's not
I just
cool.
want to say really quick, because it was on screen, but a orb vertically flew across you, Vanessa. So that's interesting. I'm gonna have to go back.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Never have the guts to invade.
Oh
Maybe
wow.
maybe we make a little short out of that one. People are busy. No, it's funny because my mentor too. She wants me to see if I have brownies in my house, and I don't know if you guys know what a brownie is.
No,
So
Mm-mm.
brownies are like a.
I'm the only brownie in my house.
Well, brownies are a Scottish or Irish folklore. They're like little. I guess you could think of them as gnomes,
Mm.
and they're usually like in your house. Um, Sometimes they protect them, like they could be little house brownies, and but you're supposed to like give them things so they don't like destroy your house. Like they can, because they're just kind of chaotic. They
Oh.
can kind of mess with your pets, and they're not harmful. They're just kind of annoying.
Mhm.
So,
Oh,
because
that's interesting.
I actually have seen a couple of things in my house, by the way, guys. So that's funny
Yeah.
that you said that. So we'll have to see. Anyway, but yeah, that's it.
Testing.
Pretty cool.
All right, Amy, you want to go ahead and take us out for the night?
Yeah, so this was a lot of fun. It was a good discussion. Whether you believe Travis Walton's story or not, it is fascinating. Even, still 50 years later, people still want to talk about it. So we invite everyone to come up with your own opinion on it and share that opinion with us as well. Let us know what you think about the topic. But thank you for joining us tonight, Bobby, Vanessa. Do you have anything else?
Oh, well, Vanessa, before you go, because you actually probably have show stuff to close with. I want to make a plea to all the freaking tech scammers. Please stop texting me. I know I am, but asking me what am I doing, and
Hi, or they just say hi.
multiple numbers.
What? Well, why do you have that's weird,
I get it
Bobby.
too. I get it too,
Yeah,
Bobby. I get random like, hi, how
crazy.
are you? And I'm
Oh,
like, I don't know you, so I'm not
Yeah,
responding. I'm just
exactly.
blocking.
yeah. I have a few of those, but not as many as Bobby has.
Just keep getting them. I even get photos, and they're all of people of Asian descent for some reason. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, yes, I was just going to ask you that actually,
Yes,
Bobby.
Amy's cousins are sending me things. I don't know what's happening here.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I just had
That
to
is
say that because I'm
funny.
getting inundated as we're doing this. But I digress.
Oh, well, I was going to say to the listeners, regardless, I definitely want to hear your opinions, but please reach out to us with a story. I would suggest that when you do, give us all the details as much as you can. That way we know how to, where to put you in our lineup and get a hold of you. We have SpeakPipe, we have a phone number, we have an email. We got all the stuff. It's all in the descriptions. Go follow us on YouTube. Go follow us on
Yes.
Instagram. Go follow us on TikTok. Go follow us on Twitter because we are doing also Bobby and I'm sure Amy you'll step into and do this. Bobby and I first did what are they called? Twitter
Spaces. It's called
Spaces.
Spaces on X, which is
Oh,
AKA Twitter.
Oh, sorry. It's
No, you,
X. I apologize.
no one
I'm old.
really says X. I mean, but
Okay.
yeah.
So Twitter formerly known as Twitter, X formerly known as Twitter. So we're doing that occasionally, and everybody can chime in on that, which is cool. We get to talk to our listeners directly. So think of that as our little little way for you guys to get a hold of us and actually talk to us. And that's pretty much it.
And we are there for the smoke. So if you guys have any crazy beliefs, if you totally disagree with us or agree with us, we take all comers.
Yes.
It's totally fun. And you can hit us up on 916-741-3032. Like Vanessa said, you can hit us up on SpeakPipe. And you can also hit us up at strangedarknessradio@gmail.com and send your story in. And we would love to hear from you guys.
All right, everybody. I think that's a wrap. Have a spooky evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.